The Enchanted Island, enjoyed with Sarah Kahn. Once upon a long, long time ago, and in a land far, far away, there lived two men in the same town, and both were named Selim. One was Selim the baker, and one was Selim the fisherman. Selim the baker was well off in the world, but Selim the fisherman was not so well off. Selim the baker always had plenty to eat and a warm corner in cold weather. But many and many a time Selim the fisherman's stomach went empty, and his teeth went a-chattering. Once it happened that for some time after time Selim the fisherman caught nothing but bad luck in his nets, and not so much as a single fish, and he was very hungry. "Come," said he to himself, "those who have some should surely give to those who have none." And so he went to Selim the baker. "Hey now there! Let me have a loaf of bread," said he, "and I will pay you for it to-morrow." "Very well," said Selim the baker, "I will let you have a loaf, if you will give me all that you catch in your nets to-morrow." "So be it," said Selim the fisherman. So the next day Selim the fisherman fished and fished and fished and fished, and still he caught no more than the day before, until just at sunset he cast his net for the last time for the day, and lo and behold, there was something heavy in it. So he dragged it ashore, and what should it be but a leaden box, sealed as tight as wax, and covered with all manner of strange letters and figures. "Here," said he, "is something to pay for my bread of yesterday, at any rate." And off he marched to Selim the baker. They opened the box in the baker's shop, and within they found 2 rolls of yellow linen. In each of the rolls of linen was another little leaden box. In one was a finger ring of gold set with a red stone. In the other was a finger ring of iron set with nothing at all. That was all the box held. Nevertheless, that was the greatest catch that any fisherman made in the world, for though Selim the one and Selim the other knew no more of the matter than the cat under the stove, the gold ring was the ring of luck, and the iron ring was the ring of wisdom. Inside the gold ring were carved these letters: "Whosoever wears me shall have that which all men seek, for so it is with good luck in this world." Inside the iron ring were written these words: "Whosoever wears me shall have that which few men care for, and that is the way it is with wisdom in our town." "Well," said Selim the baker, and he slipped the gold ring of good luck on his finger, "I have driven a good bargain, and you have paid for your loaf of bread." "But what will I do with the other ring?" said Selim the fisherman. "Ah, you may have it," said Selim the baker. Well, that evening, as Selim the baker sat in front of his shop in the twilight smoking a pipe of tobacco, the ring he wore began to work. Up came a little old man with a white beard, and he was dressed all in gray from toe to top, and he wore a black velvet cap, and he carried a long crinkled staff in his hand. He stopped in front of Slim the baker and stood looking at him a long while. At last, "Is your name Slim?" said he. "Yes," said Slim the baker, "why it is." "And do you wear a gold ring with a gold stone on your finger?" "Yes," said Slim, "in fact I do." "Then come with me," said the little old man, "and I will show you the wonder of the world." "Well," said Slim the baker, "that would be worth seeing, at any rate." So he emptied out his pipe of tobacco, and put on his hat, and followed the way the old man led him. Up one street they went, and down another, through alleys and byways where Selim had never seen before. At last they came to where a high wall ran along the narrow street, with a garden behind it, and by to an iron gate. The old man rapped upon the gate 3 times with his knuckles, and cried out in a loud voice, "Open to Selim, who wears the ring of luck." Then instantly the gate swung open, and Selim the baker followed the old man into the garden. Bang! Shut the gate behind him, and there he was. Yes, there he was. And such a place he had never seen before. Such fruit, such flowers, such fountains, such summer houses. "This is nothing," said the old man. "This is only the beginning of wonder. Come with me." He led the way down a long pathway between the trees. By and by, far away, they saw the light of torches. And when they came to what they saw, oh, lo and behold, there was the seashore, and a boat with 24 oarsmen, each dressed in cloth of gold and silver more splendidly than a prince. And there were 24 black slaves, carrying each a torch of spice wood, so that all the air was filled with sweet smells. The old man led the way, and Selim, following, entered the boat, and there was a seat for him, made soft with satin cushions embroidered with gold. Selim wondered whether he was not dreaming. The oarsmen pushed off from the shore, and away they rowed. On they rowed, and on they rowed, for all that livelong night. At last, moon waning, morning broke, and then the crimson sun rose, and Selim saw such a sight as never mortal eyes beheld before or since. It was the wonder of wonders, a great city built on an island. The island was all one mountain, and on it, one above another, and another above that again, stood palaces that glistened like snow, and orchards of fruits, and gardens of flowers and green trees. And as the boat came nearer and nearer to this city, Selim could see that all around on the housetops and down to the water's edge were crowds and crowds of various people. All were looking out towards the sea, and when they saw the boat and Selim in it, a great shout went up like the roaring of rushing waters. "It is the king! It is the king! It is Selim the king!" Then the boat landed, and there stood scores of princes and nobles to welcome Selim ashore. And there was a white horse waiting for him to ride, and its saddle and bridle were studded with diamonds and rubies and emeralds that sparkled and glistened like the stars in heaven. And Selim thought for sure he must be dreaming with his eyes open. Up the hill he rode, unto the grandest and most splendid of all the splendid palaces, the princes and noblemen with him, and the crowd shouting as though to split their throats. And what a palace it was, as white as snow and painted all inside with gold and blue. All around it were gardens blooming. There they made a king of Selim and put a golden crown on his head. And that is what the ring of good luck can do for a baker. But wait a bit. There was something queer about it all. All that day was feasting and drinking and merrymaking, and the twinging and twanging of music and dancing of beautiful dancing girls. And when night came, they lit thousands and thousands of candles of perfumed wax. But at last it came midnight, and then suddenly, in an instant, all the lights went out, and everything was dark as pitch. Not a spark, not even so much as a glimmer anywhere. And just as suddenly, all the sounds of music and dancing and merrymaking ceased, and everybody began to wail and cry until it was enough to wring one's heart to hear with tears. Then, in the midst of all the wailing and crying, a door was flung open, and in came 6 tall and terrible black men, dressed all in white from top to toe, carrying each a flaming torch. And by the light of the torches King Selim saw that all princes, noblemen, dancing girls, all lay on their faces on the floor. The 6 men took King Selim, who shuddered and shook with fear, by the arms, and marched him through dark, gloomy entrance-ways and passageways, until they came at last to the very heart of the palace. There was a great high vaulted room of black marble, and in the middle of it was a pedestal with 7 steps, all of black marble. And on the pedestal stood a stone statue of a woman looking as natural as life, only that her eyes were shut. The statue was dressed like a queen. She wore a golden crown on her head, and upon her body hung golden robes set with diamonds and emeralds and rubies and sapphires and pearls. As for the face of the statue, ink could not tell how beautiful it was. When Salim looked at it, it made his heart stand still in his breast. The 6 men brought Salim up in front of the statue, and then a voice came as though from the vaulted room. "Salim! Salim! Salim!" it said. "What art thou doing? Today is feasting and drinking and merrymaking, but beware of tomorrow." As soon as these words were ended, the 6 black men marched King Salim back whence they had brought him. There they left him, and passed out one by one as they had first come in, and the door shut to behind them. Then in an instant the lights flashed on again, the music began to play, and the people began to talk and laugh, and King Salim thought that, well, just maybe all that had just passed was only a bit of an ugly dream after all. So that is the way King Salim the baker began to reign. All day was feasting and drinking and merrymaking and music and laughing and talking. But every night at midnight the same thing happened. The lights went out. All the people began wailing and crying, and the 6 tall, terrible black men came with fantastic torches and marched King Salim away to the beautiful statue. And every night the same voice said, "Salim, Salim, Salim, what art thou doing? Today is feasting and drinking and merrymaking, but beware of tomorrow." So things went for a 12-month, and at last came the end of the year. That day and night the merrymaking was wilder and madder than it had ever been before, but the great clock in the tower went on tick-tock, tick-tock, and by it came midnight. Then, as it always happened, the lights went out, and all was black as ink. But this time there was no wailing and crying out. Everything was silent as death. The door opened slowly, and in came not 6 black men as before, but 9 men as silent as death, dressed all in flaming red, and the torches they carried burned as red as blood. They took King Salim by the arms, just as the 6 men had done, and marched him through the passageways to the same vaulted room. There stood the statue, but now it was turned to flesh and blood, and the eyes were open and looking straight at Salim the baker. "Art thou Salim?" said she, and she pointed her finger at him. "Yes, I am Salim," said he. "And dost thou wear the gold ring with the red stone?" "Yes," said he, "I have it on my finger." And dost thou wear the iron ring?" "No," said he. "I gave that to Selim the fisherman." The words had hardly left his lips when the statue gave a great cry and clapped her hands together. In an instant an echoing cry sounded all over the town, a shriek fit to split the ears. The next moment there came another sound, a sound like thunder, above and below and everywhere. The earth began to shake and to rock, and the houses began to topple and fall, and the people began to scream and to yell and to shout, and the waters of the sea began to lash and to roar, and the wind began to bellow and howl. Then it was a good thing for King Selim that he wore Luck's ring, for though all the beautiful snow-white palace about him and above him began to crumble to pieces like slaked lime, the sticks and stones and the beams to fall this side of him and that, crashing, crashing, he crawled out from under it without a scratch or a bruise, like a rat out of a cellar. That is what Luck's ring did for him. But his troubles were not over yet, for now the island began to sink into the water, carrying everything with it except an empty boat. King Selim quickly jumped into it to save himself from drowning. The boat floated on until it came to another island. Only on this island there was no blade of grass nor living thing of any kind. Then Selim, shaking, went ashore, and there he would have starved only for Luck's ring. One day men sailing by in a boat heard poor Selim's shouts and came and took him aboard. How they all stared to see his golden crown and his jewels. Before they would consent to carry him away, they made him give up all the fine things he had. Then they took him home again, just as poor when he had started. Back he went to his bake shop, and the first thing he did was to take off his gold ring and put it on the shelf. "If this is the ring of good luck," said he, "I do not want to wear the like of it." And now for Selim the fisherman. Well, thus it happened to him. For a while he carried the iron ring around in his pocket. But one day, yes, one day he slipped it on his finger. After that he never took it off again, and the world went smoothly with him. He was not rich, but then he was not poor, for I never yet knew wisdom to go begging or crying. He went his way, and he fished his fish. Then one day he went past the baker's shop, and there sat Selim the baker smoking his pipe. "So, friend," said Selim the fisherman, "you are back again." "Yes," said the other Selim. "A while ago I was a king, and now I am nothing but a baker again. As for that Luck's ring, well, when next I wear it, it may I be hanged." Thereupon he told Selim the fisherman the story of what had happened with the ring of good luck. "Well," said Selim the fisherman, "I should like to have a sight of that island myself. If you want the ring no longer, just let me have it." "Oh, you may have it," said Selim the baker, "and you are welcome to it." So Selim the fisherman put on the ring. That night, as he came home carrying his nets over his shoulder, whom should he meet but the little old man in grey? "Is your name Selim?" said the little man, just as he had before. "Yes," said Selim, "it is." And do you wear a gold ring with a red stone?" "Yes," said Selim, "I do." "Then come with me," said the little old man, "and I will show you the wonder of the world." Selim the fisherman dropped his nets and went after the other Selim as fast as his legs would carry him, until they reached the garden to which Selim the baker had been brought. Now, to make a long story short, everything happened to Selim the fisherman just as it had happened to Selim the baker. At dawn of the day they came to the island and the city built on the mountain, and the palaces were just as white and beautiful, and the gardens and orchards just as fresh and blooming as they had not all tumbled down and sunk under the water a week before. There Selim the fisherman was greeted with great pomp, and they made him a king, just as they had made a king of Selim the baker. That night, as the hour of midnight struck, the same 6 terrible black men with torches led Selim the fisherman to the same vaulted room with the same beautiful statue. Then came the voice from above, "Selim, Selim, Selim, what art thou doing? Today is feasting and drinking and merrymaking, but beware of tomorrow." But Selim the fisherman did not stand still and listen, as Selim the baker had done. He had listened well to the story of Selim the baker and had learned from it. He called out, "I hear the words. I am listening. I will beware tomorrow for the sake of tomorrow." First of all he called the wisest men of the island to him, and found from them just where the other desert island lay upon which the boat with Selim the baker had drifted. Then he sent armies of men and built on that island palaces and houses, and planted there orchards and gardens, just like the ones about him, only a great finer. Then he sent fleets of ships and carried everything away from the island where he lived to that other island. At last he sent over the beautiful statue and had it set up in his palace. Then he went over himself, leaving nothing behind him. So came midnight at the end of 12 months. Everything was silent as death. Again, the same 9 men came with torches burning. They took Selim the fisherman and led him to the beautiful statue, and there she was, with her eyes open. "Are you Selim?" said she. "Yes, I am Selim," said he. "And do you wear the iron ring of wisdom?" said she. "Yes, I do," said he, and so he did. There was no roaring and thundering, for this island was solid rock, and not all enchantment and hollow inside like the other. The beautiful statue smiled. She came down from the pedestal where she stood and kissed Selim the fisherman on the lips. "I have done all this for you," said Selim the fisherman. "And I have been waiting for you 1,000 1,000 years, said the beautiful statue. Only she was not a statue any longer. After that they were married, and Selim the fisherman and the enchanted statue became king and queen in real earnest. So, after all, it is not always the lucky one who gathers the plums when wisdom is by to pluck up what the other shakes down.